Hey everybody, this is Saber, and I am back with part 2 of my turtle build. Now, when I left off, we had just done the top, the whole docking area, and as you can see I've added some power generators, and basically what I wanted to show you guys was what I decided to do with the interior. Now, initially I had thought that I was just going to fill this whole space up with, power generators and engines, but then I thought that would add too much mass, so I've decided I'm going to turn it into a hangar. And that way I can store some smaller ships in here without cluttering up the top for when I need to haul around big ships. Now, I know the front kind of looks like a mess, and that's because with the way that you can do power generators, it takes the maximum distance on each axis. So like the maximum length, so you only need one row, and then you split it off into the two other axes. So it gets a little messy up here, but basically I started to treat them more like pipes or wires instead of just a straight line axis that you need to make. So I originally started out with, and this is going to be hard to tell probably just because there's so much now, but I started out with the longest ones that were between the what I'm calling the honeycomb engines, because it's these ones right here. But then I decided to get the maximum height out of it. I took them down, and so I put some honeycomb in this too. Let's see, I took them down to the walls of this and took them all the way to the bottom. And you can't see them because they're behind the engines, but they do go pretty much all the way to the bottom except for this bottom layer of engines. That way I get as much possible power out of them as I can. And I even added two up here where they split right there, see? So it's just each corner, and then they come into the middle and then go clear down to the bottom. So in theory, which it seems to be working so far, the whole ship is now basically two giant chunks of power generators, along with all these other what would be longer blocks in here. So doing power generators, if you don't understand it at first, it's kind of hard to understand it, but if you just imagine it as you do the three axes and then it fills in whatever whatever that rectangle would be, or that cube, then that's going to be your total energy output instead of having to make one giant block. So then I put a whole bunch of the power tanks here on the floor, just a whole layer, and then up the front wall. And then this ramp, actually I think that is the right ramp, yeah. I'm still trying to figure out how I'm going to get down there, but I think I've settled on this, where now I'm going to be able to go down here, and then that'll be the entrance to the ship, is through the feet, basically. Feet, landing gear, whatever you want to call it. Here, I'll show you guys. I don't have the cockpit in yet, but it is kind of starting to look like a turtle, which wasn't my original intent, but after I saw the sketch, the name just kind of stuck. So now, the power, here, I'll show you. Now I've got, I didn't show you guys. I have 41,525 thrust, which is pretty good. I'm happy with it so far. I do still need to add rear engines, but that won't add a lot because at this point I'm trying to keep mass down, which is why I decided to make this hangar bay, which is because if that was all one chunk of stuff, it would just be super heavy, and I should be able to lift a lot without having to worry about its own weight too much. So yeah, 41,000 thrust and all those power generators, and it still doesn't quite keep up with the thrusters. So I'm probably going to add a few more power generators, and I don't know, maybe I won't. It's getting to the point where I don't want to impede too much on what would be this hangar bay, because I'd really like to have just a really nice big clean space. I'll actually probably end up putting glass in the roof, and just to kind of show off, well, one, space, and then two, like whatever ship is docked there, and then that'll save on lighting too, because that way we won't have to cover the ceiling with lights. So I'm probably just about done in here as far as just core stuff is, and then I'll start cleaning it up, making it a little more aesthetic, and then I'll work on the deck. I originally planned to work on the deck immediately after the video that I made last time, but then I just got consumed by the power system, and it was pretty fun, but it was a challenge in some areas. Now, some places are a little cleaner like this whole area here is fairly clean and organized, except for the very interior of it, but it got to the point where I literally had to use every amount of space that I could, but keep it as, let each piece be as long as I could. But it's definitely a bit of a mess. Now see, I could still put stuff in here, which I probably will. But yeah, I mean, every single twist and turn that I could take to get clear up to the top, I tried to do. So I've got a lot of these where it's just, just single stacks coming up here. But I'm going to, probably add a couple more, and because I'm trying to keep it, about behind this line, so that way I can have one clean wall, and then have everything back behind here be at least symmetrical, so it looks good within the hangar. So see, yeah, like all of these, like I started off, since it was the honeycomb, I could fit a bunch of these stacks in there, and so I'll still be able to put a wall right about here, and you shouldn't notice any of the power generators. I like to keep stuff hidden as much as I can. Excuse me. So the engines that I put in are about half of that honeycomb that I did for the side ones, and then about this half is pretty much all filled in, because I still don't entirely understand the engines, because I did those, and if I started adding blocks to connect them, it would reduce the thrust, but then with all of these ones, then it started to increase the thrust. But if I started doing it too much to these ones, then it wouldn't. So there's some certain ratio that I don't know that you have to stick to. But basically with thrusters, I mean, just keep toying around with them until you figure out, about what works best. Keep watching your thrust, and if it starts going down, then switch to another stack or something. But I'm going to go ahead and keep tweaking the power, and then I'll probably jump over to aesthetics after that, and then I will make a video of that as well. So I'll see you guys then. Alright guys, I'm back. I've been working on the deck and a little bit of the hangar, and you can see as I've got those engines there now, I've gotten a fair amount done. Now I wanted to do a bit of a fly around, because if I'm in build mode, then this thing is just covered with green boxes. I have 27 docking nodes up here, and mostly of various sizes. Now the ones on the ends are all going to be for like smaller ships, and then the ones in the middle are going to be for the large ones. The two with the X's are the biggest two. Those are the ones that actually use the outer ring. And then the middle one is fairly long, but it's a little narrower than I wanted to have it, but there's not much I can do about that. So I'll go ahead and jump into the build mode and show you how I got some of those. I got the power pretty much where I wanted it. It doesn't regen constantly, but it is quick enough where I don't need to worry about it too much, because I added these back engines, so it's a little, or it drains it a little faster than to keep it level, or keep it full rather. But see, I mean, as soon as I let off, it regens really quick, so I'm not too worried about that. These are the 27 docking nodes, and as you can see, I can fit some pretty big ships in there, and quite a few of them too. Now for the center one, you don't see any of its enhancers, because I mean, these two, they feed off each other basically like the outer ring does, where it's just an angle for each one of them. But then for the middle one, what I did was I did it all under the deck. So let's grab this and see, it goes down the full length of it, and then I kept all of the other stuff hidden up here with these that'll be blocking off. So it goes across there and then hidden in here somewhere. Okay, there we go. It goes all the way down to the bottom of a foot. So that's how I got that one to work. Now you'll see with some of these I didn't do my box design, but that's because I didn't need to have two of them. So like these ones, I mean, it could be singular, and also for an aesthetic design, because that way it kind of gives you an easier target when you're far out getting ready to dock. You'll be able to see, okay, that's where I need to go, instead of trying to find, well, which node is connected to the big ones, And that's also why I added those big X's, was to define those two. So yeah, I've done a little bit of work in here. I'm going to have at least 3 docking nodes in here. I might actually, once I get the walls done, which are going to be right down where this row of lights are. And then I'm thinking about putting some docking notes here, or well, not here, but like on the sides, so that way I can actually have more stuff on the walls. I mean, you know, since it's a spaceship, that's not going to be much of an issue. So I'm pretty much ready to do just aesthetic stuff now. I did add the glass roof, so I'm pretty happy with that. I did cover up some of these because I had to go, you know, under or over other power strips, I guess you could call them. Because, I mean, there's just too many in here to try and reorganize just for that one line. So I just kind of blended them into the deck, both above and below. And hopefully I'll have enough enough shields that, and plus with those, the hardened holes, it won't be an issue if, like, they get shot. Or at least not too much anyway. But yeah, okay, I'm going to go ahead and jump back into building this and see you guys when it's all done. Alright, thanks.